Hey guys, what's going on? It's been quite a bit since the last video, and as you know, there's some weird times going on in the world. We're being asked to stay at home, and a lot of stuff is being canceled, and along with that, a lot of movies are being delayed too. In these very weird times, we do need inspiration, so I thought I would make a special video about the movies that have influenced me. Not necessarily like, oh, Star Wars made me want to become an alien, but like movies that have influenced my taste in film and have stood out in terms of my experiences with watching movies. From a young age, I've always been a big movie watcher, and here are just some of the films that I used to love. So the two movies that I normally cite as my childhood favorites are Finding Nemo and Aladdin. Robin Williams as the genie was always so magical, and the songs were always so much fun. Friend Like Me is still my favorite Disney song ever. Finding Nemo as well, just a story of like a man, not a man, but a fish going against all odds to find his son. It's a very emotional anchor to it. And then Toy Story, the first three, I watched so many times when I was younger. Actually, a bit before the third one came out, they had like a re-release of 1 and 2 in theaters. It was like a 3D double feature, and it was only a couple months before the third one came out in theaters as well, and so I saw that too. And obviously, now they did Toy Story 4, I saw that last year. And then WALL-E was one of the earlier movies that I saw in theaters. Madagascar, another one that was the first that I ever watched in theaters. And what else? Up was also one of the earlier films that I saw in theaters. Some of the other movies that I would watch over and over again. Monsters Inc., obviously. Cars, the first one. The original Lion King was a big one. And this is a movie that my brother and I would watch over and over again. Space Jam, the Michael Jordan, Bugs Bunny movie. We had a good friend of ours who would always come over. He's still a good friend, but he would come over a lot. And it was one that we would just spend night after night watching it again on DVD. Speaking of space movies, Spaceballs was a movie that like my dad introduced me to that got me really into the Mel Brooks comedies, and of course Star Wars. Around the time I was like 8 or 9, I got really into the first 6, and believe it or not, I even liked the prequels back then. You know, Mary Poppins. I loved Mary Poppins. I would watch it over and over again as well. The scene where they're all on the rooftops and all the chimney workers are doing this awesome dance, that was always my favorite part of that movie. And I've seen it so many times since I was young. And The Sound of Music as well. Same actor, actually, who played Mary Poppins and the lead in Sound of Music. Alright, so one of like the first non-animated, non-kids movies that I saw in theaters when I was, I think, 9 was Hugo, which was the first Scorsese movie that I ever watched. Not only was it a visually beautiful movie, but it also like taught me a bit about the early age of cinema itself, which was super intriguing for me to watch, especially as a young movie lover. And then when I was 10, me and my brother went to a little movie called The Avengers. And since then, I've been an enormous Marvel fan, and I've watched every Marvel movie in theaters. And then also, I went to The Dark Knight Rises in theaters. That's the first Nolan movie that I watched in theaters. I got really impressed by how he did action with very little CGI. Another one of my favorite films became Jurassic Park. When I was 11, they re-released it in theaters in 3D. And so that was the first time I watched it on the big screen in 3D, and it was really amazing. So around the time I was 12, I started to really get into older action movies, so like Terminator 1 and 2, which are now two of my favorite movies ever, and Aliens, Die Hard, The Matrix, the first one, is also one of my favorites. And so that year, I was 12, it was late 2014, I saw 3 movies in theaters that I think really impacted my taste in film. And those were Interstellar, Whiplash, and Birdman. And I think those films just really showed me how cinematography and music can make such an impact on a film. I mean, of course the stories were amazing, but that's when I really started to appreciate the execution of a film and, you know, the technical stuff that goes into every movie. So then when I was 13, I started really getting into the crime genre, starting with Goodfellas. And Goodfellas was a movie that really got me interested into the whole Robert De Niro mafia. So not just De Niro, obviously, but since then I've seen like so many of those crime films like Godfather and Casino, etc. My favorite actor became Tom Hanks. I've actually gotten to see him in person, and yes, it's as incredible as it sounds. One of my favorite films became Forrest Gump, which I've seen multiple times since I have the Blu-ray. It's such an emotional and inspiring movie, if you ask me. And also, Saving Private Ryan became one of my favorites. Speaking of which, I absolutely love Spielberg, and I definitely think he's also influenced my love of film. He's broken ground time after time when it comes to cinema, and I've seen a lot of his movies. Whether it's the classics like E.T., and Jaws, as well as Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark, which I've seen like 5 times in the last few years alone. And then when I was 14, I watched The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, which made me even more into 60s and 70s movies, and is now also one of my favorites. And it also made me really appreciate Westerns and the older styles of filmmaking that have influenced films today. But those are just some of the notable movies that introduced me to more genres of film, I guess, or more styles of filmmaking. So weird stuff is going on right now in the world, as you know. I've been watching a lot of movies from home, and that's kind of fun, catching up on older movies, but a lot of movies are being delayed too. But I also see it as a nice opportunity to catch up on some older stuff. More importantly than that, I encourage everyone to stay safe and keep doing things that you enjoy from inside the comfort of your home.